Who is the most talented NFL division going into the 2020 NFL season? In this video, I break down the NFC North, the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions, and give you the all-division team for the NFC North going into the 2020 NFL season, giving you the best players at every position on offense, on defense, and the coaching staff. Before I give you the all-division team for the NFC North, make sure that you do spike the like button, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion, what you think of Team NFC North, what you think of my selections, and leave your selections in the comment section below. For as long as I can remember, when it comes to the quarterback position, there is one man and one man only that has dominated the NFC North over the past decade plus, and that man is the great Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers may not be prime Aaron Rodgers anymore. He may not be the best quarterback in football anymore, but he's still really, really good, and he is still, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the North. Shout out to Matt Stafford. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. There's three, in my opinion, top 12 quarterbacks from just this division alone in the entire NFL, but Rodgers still stands out among the rest because I feel he can win games with no matter the talent around him. He can have guys that are picked up off the street at wide receiver, and he'll still find a way to be successful. That's because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best, no matter the system. He can escape the pocket, make a throw on the run, dazzle you that way. He can make throws from within the pocket, accurate, great arm, very smart, and still elite in this game today. Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the NFC North. At the running back position, two running backs that I feel fit the same offense and can catch the football and can run the football. So you have a huge skill set here with Dalvin Cook and with Aaron Jones. Two guys that are slashers in the run game, very smooth and quick, great burst in the open field, but perfectly fit the zone running scheme that the NFC North will have. Jones is excellent out of the backfield as a receiver. You saw him multiple times last year, leading the NFL in touchdowns, wheel routes down the field, 20, 30 yards down the field, making a play in the receiving game. Dalvin Cook is excellent in the screen game. Two running backs that are explosive as runners and as receivers. At the wide receiver and tight end positions, you start off with Davante Adams, who Stephon Gilmore will attest is the best receiver off the line of scrimmage in his releases. Davante Adams is a smooth, effortless route runner. He's not the most explosive downfield receiver in the game, but he's nearly unstoppable in the intermediate and short range because of how crisp he is with his routes, how unpredictable he is, and how crafty he is on every single route, making it look different every single time, keeping the corner on his toes. Adams is excellent also in the red zone and has a phenomenal connection with Aaron Rodgers on those one-on-one balls, back shoulders, doesn't matter. Adams gets it done. On the opposite side of Adams is a similar receiver to Adams, probably less of the route runner, but actually better in terms of contested catches. And that man is Kenny Golladay. Golladay led the NFL last year very, very quietly in receiving touchdowns, and nobody really noticed because Matt Stafford actually was only there for half the season, and Golladay was still able to get it done. That speaks to his talent. He's very young and probably the most underrated receiver in the league. Golladay doesn't separate a ton. He's not super fast. He's not super quick. He isn't the most effortless route runner like Adams, but he is amazing in contested situations. Anywhere near his body, he will go up and snag that football and make a play on it with a ridiculous hands, great leaping ability, and just overall, a very undervalued receiver. In the slot, I have Adam Thielen. Yes, Stephon Diggs is gone, but I would argue that Adam Thielen has been the most valuable receiver when on the field for the Vikings the last two seasons. He is Kirk Cousins' #1 go-to guy in the short, intermediate, and yes, even the deep part of the field, Adam Thielen is undervalued. I know that he's kind of put in this spot where people think he's only a slot receiver. He's way more than that. As you saw in the wildcard game, he could go down the field and moss people. I think Thielen has that extra quality that makes him more than a slot receiver, which is the incredible body control to go up and snag the football down the field. Not just running routes underneath or intermediate where he's spectacular, where he can shake you and break you, but he can also go over the top, and that's an area that I think in 2020 you're going to see a lot more, and Thielen is really going to make plays for the Vikings. At the tight end position, the NFC North doesn't really have one awesome tight end, but the reliable tight end is Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph makes plays in the red zone. He is a touchdown machine throughout the entirety of his career. He is a huge target with a huge catch radius, and that allows him to go up and catch the football in maybe tight situations, but he's going to come down with it. If it's a fade versus the Saints, or if it's a back shoulder, or if you just toss it up to him, he's going to find a way to snag it, and that's why Kyle Rudolph is the tight end for the NFC North. Now going to the offensive line, at the tackle spots, first, David Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari has been the number one reason that Aaron Rodgers has had a steady, reliable, consistent offensive line and has been protected throughout most of his career. Bakhtiari is an absolute pass blocking extraordinaire, stud. For many seasons, he's been considered the number one tackle in the NFL. Maybe a little bit of a dip last year in that regard, but still remains in the elite category. At the right tackle position, I chose a left tackle, the left tackle of the Lions, and that is Taylor Decker. Decker is a younger guy, but he is developing into one of the better left tackles in the NFC. He's very athletic. He's tall. He's got those long arms. He can really hold you off the quarterback, and that makes him a really great pass blocker. The interior offensive line for the NFC North is probably the weakest area on this roster. At the guard position, I chose James Daniels and Jenkins of the Packers, two very young players within the first 3 years of their career, but they have stood out on the Packers and the Bears, especially James Daniels, who's probably the best offensive lineman on the Bears right now. At the center position, Ragnow, I chose over Lindsley of the Packers. It was very close. Ragnow probably this year, what I like a little bit more about Ragnow is just the fact that he is a power blocker, and he is going to just absolutely destroy your confidence in the run game. He's going to run you over, he's going to maul you, and he's going to make you look like a fool. Now switching to the defense, on the defensive line for the NFC North is two studs in the interior defensive line, Akeem Hicks of the Chicago Bears, who's one of the best run defenders in pro football. He's also sneaky good as a pass rusher and has really come on these last couple of years and really flourished as a part of that Bears defense. He is probably the number 2 to Khalil Mack's number 1 in terms of their top 2 guys on that defense and really making up that strong front 7 of the Bears. Beside him is going to be Kenny Clark of the Green Bay Packers. Kenny Clark is the big monster of a man in the interior of the Packers defensive line that allows Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and the pass rush of the Packers to really get after it because he can hold it down in the middle as a run defender pretty much by himself, and he doesn't have a lot of help. Most often when the Packers are defending the run well and when they're blowing up the run, it's mostly because Kenny Clark is making an amazing play where he's taking on a double team, and he is the one making the play single-handedly. So those two guys are the two big beasts in the NFC North interior defensive line. On the edge of the NFC North line, this is probably the best edge position for any division in the league. Danielle Hunter, who's an absolute monster, is not even on this roster. I went with Zadarius Smith of the Packers for his incredible season as a pass rusher, and really what I'll say about Zadarius Smith above all else is his ability to get after the quarterback was the biggest difference I saw in the 2019 Packers defense from the 2018 Packers defense. Yes, the Packers secondary got better in 2019, but Zadarius Smith was the biggest reason their pass defense as a whole was one of the better ones in the NFC and the NFL. Smith is a monster as a pass rusher, consistent pressures, consistent sacks in big moments for that Packer team. He deserves to be on this squad. On the opposite side, I have Khalil Mack, who's probably the most well-rounded edge player in the NFL today. Yes, he didn't put up the sack numbers that he has in the past, but Khalil Mack is still a disruptor. Every game, every down, you need to pay attention to where he is on the field. They double team him consistently. He is the number one guy that can take over a football game on the Bears defense. Offensive coordinators, offensive linemen are up at night thinking about ways that they can try to stop this guy because it's not very easy. And Khalil Mack was playing a little hurt, a little banged up this year, but still made it difficult on offensive linemen and on offensive coordinators. At the linebacker position, Eric Kendricks was the easy number one choice. Kendricks is one of the better run defending linebackers in the league. He has very good situational awareness, pursuit, and just an ability to diagnose a run play. And he gets after it with great speed and great burst. The other linebacker was a difficult choice, but the one that stood out to me was Jamie Collins, because Jamie Collins is probably the most versatile linebacker in this division. Collins now signing with the Lions, teaming back up with Matt Patricia from their days in New England. Jamie Collins, he can blitz, he can cover, he can stop the run. He's a super athlete who can do backflips. He's just an incredible all-around player. He's only gotten better, and what I saw from him last year was a more refined, smarter linebacker. In the secondary, you start off with the number one corner spot in the NFC North, and to me, it's not close. Jari Alexander is the number one corner in the NFC North. They treat him in Green Bay like a shutdown corner. He takes on the number one receiver on opposing offenses every single week, and they put him on an island and say, you cover that guy. There's not a lot of corners in the NFL that play that type of role, play that type of style, and Alexander does it really, really well. At the other cornerback position on the opposite side of Alexander, this was a difficult choice. You could have went with a lot of different guys, whether it was Okudah, the rookie of the Lions, but he was a little unproven for my taste. You could go with Fuller of the Bears. You could also even go with Justin Coleman, again of the Lions, maybe even Trufant of the Lions. But ultimately, I did go with Fuller. And the reason being is because when Fuller is at his peak of play, he is the second best corner in this division. Yes, he had a rough year last year, but, the guy is still a playmaker. He's going to cause turnovers. He's going to get his hands on the football. He's going to intercept passes, force fumbles. He is going to make plays for your defense, no matter what. Even if he's burnt here and there, he's the type of corner that's a little bit more aggressive. He's the guy that wants to take the football away, and that's his job in the Bears defense. So I give him credit for that. In the slot, at the nickel position, I'm going with Eddie Jackson. Now, I know that Eddie Jackson is not technically a slot defender, nickel in the traditional sense, but he is definitely the third best safety in this division. He's no doubt still one of the 10 best safeties in the league. Last year, many would argue he might have been the best safety in the league. Maybe a little bit of a step back this year just because the Bears team as a whole and their defense as a whole took a step back. So did Eddie Jackson, and he didn't have the ridiculous interceptions that he did a year ago. But he's still an amazing player, especially in zone coverage, especially his ability to read the eyes of a quarterback. So that's why I gave him the DB position. The two safeties, that is the duo in Minnesota. Harrison Smith at strong safety, who's incredible in run support, very, very smart player, and like a quarterback of a secondary. And then the other safety, I have Anthony Harris, who has great ball skills, great coverage ability, and another guy just like Jackson who can take the football away as we saw last year. So that is the secondary. That is the defense of the NFC North. Now moving to the coaching staff for the NFC North, the head coach position it's interesting to decide who is going to be on this coaching staff because you have two offensive guys in LaFleur and Nagy, and you have two defensive guys in Zimmer and Patricia, all as head coaches. So you have to divide the roles evenly. To me, Zimmer is the best all-around head coach. He's the one that's had the most success, the most consistently. He has the most experience, and I just believe he gets the most out of his players. He's a really good defensive coach as well. Offensive coordinator, I went with Nagy. Now, I understand that some people may say LaFleur because of his recent success as a head coach with the Packers, but I didn't see anything from LaFleur that made me say, you know what? Wow, that was an incredible scheme or incredible play, especially in the passing game. Sure, the Packers got a little bit better in terms of running the football, but with Aaron Rodgers, you would expect better from the passing game. So I went with Nagy of the Bears, who is the head coach there. And the reason being is because I see more creative things from Nagy more often than I do from LaFleur. I'm not the biggest Nagy fan either, but I do think that with a better quarterback play, that offense would be a lot better. And to give LaFleur the credit with Aaron Rodgers there is a very difficult scenario. So I'm going to go with Nagy. Now, the defensive side of the football, you could go with Patricia, you could go with Pagano, and of course, Zimmer is the head coach. So I am going with Chuck Pagano of the Bears, and the reason is because he had more success last year than Patricia. It's pretty simple, but Pagano, I know and I understand that people are not a huge fan because of his last couple years in Indianapolis, and people like to hate on him. But let's be honest, when he is a defensive coordinator, just a defensive coordinator, and just responsible for the defense, he does a really good job, as he did last season with the Bears. Patricia was really good in 2018, good with the Patriots, multiple-time Super Bowl DC, but he was rough last year. We'll have to see if he bounces back in 2020. Special teams-wise, I'm going with Matt Prater at kicker for the Lions. He has the biggest leg, most range, and he's the most consistent with clutch kicks. And then the punter, I'm going with Colquitt of the Vikings. Really solid all-around punter. Probably not one of the 3 best, but probably one of the 10 best in the league. And then returners, it's a tough dilemma because do you go with the proven guy in Cordell Patterson or the guy that I feel had probably the slightly better year and is a little bit more well-rounded? He does punts, he does kicks as well in Jamal Agnew. And ultimately, I went with the one that's younger and the one that's probably going to be better down the road, and that is Agnew. Now, I understand if you go with Patterson, it's totally cool, but Patterson does only return kicks and not punts, and Agnew does both, so that's why I'm siding with him. He also scored 2 touchdowns last year, and he's talked about to be maybe a receiver this year for the Lions or a weapon on offense because he is so dynamic as a returner. So that is Team NFC North. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the team, offensively, defensively, and special teams and coaching. That is the NFC North All-Star Squad for 2020. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Thanks for watching. Peace.